Here's how I'm using Python and natural language processing to turn these VO sessions
That's a good turkey leg, partner.
into cut up, trimmed, individually named files.
That's a good turkey leg, partner.
So here I have a big VO session, it's about 150 lines in here.
Finger licking good.
So you see it's kind of like any VO session. It's got some lines with some silence between the lines. So we use Python to help us do some of the manual work of cutting this up. I have a couple of test files here. This first one just took 3 lines.
Out of this world.
So we have our Python script here. So we're going to run this script to help us cut up that file. Give it the path name of the file. So it exported those 3 sections as chunks, threw it into a folder.
Out of this world.
So these are the cut up pieces, and here, the same pieces just trimmed. So I left these here just in case the trimming gets too extreme, just to have something to check against. So if we pull up this one that's just cut up.
Out of this world.
So that works pretty good. This is the trimmed one. So you can see it's a bit tighter. I leave a little bit more silence on the end so the T's and D's don't get chopped off. So with this particular setting, I have minimum silence detection at half a second, and this is the silence threshold. So that's how it's deciding how to cut this audio up into smaller pieces. So now, what would the next step be? Well, it's great that we got it cut up, but what if we use some natural language processing that Python gives to us to name those files? So I'm currently using the speech recognition module, and it uses a free Google service. So if you pay for services, you get more features, better transcriptions. You can detect multiple voices in files. So now if we turn transcribing on, we're going to cut up that same file. Give the name of the character. I usually put the name of the character in the file name. So now it's transcribing it. So now if we look at the files, the ones that have been trimmed have also been named.
You figured an almost perfect recipe. Almost perfect. Out of this world.
So yeah, that's pretty fun. So another test would be I had one here where I took that final line and I pasted it 3 times because you're gonna have clashing file names at some point. I'm now going to run it again and check for the one with duplicated names. Let's add them 2. See, there's 5 chunks this time. It's transcribing them. And now this time it's detected duplicate names. So it gives a version to each name, so it finds it more than once. And of course, it can be duplicated if the person's reading the same line twice, or even if a different line, but Google thinks, transcribes it as a similar name. So we don't have to worry about our duplicates getting written over like that. And so it's pretty good. Now let's try a little more real world example. I wouldn't want to do 150 at once. There's kind of too much room for error. So I took this chunk. So there's about 20 lines here. I didn't even clean it up. So there's probably a little bit of just kind of, talking in between lines or something, I'm sure. So this is the 3rd line. So I'm going to copy that. So it took 20 chunks out of there, and on the longer tests, some of these were failing. I put a try catch in there, so at least the program continues after the chunk won't load, it won't transcribe for some reason. Not quite sure why. If you run the same file multiple times, sometimes it's different chunks that don't transcribe. So not totally sure why, but at least it continues. It doesn't, the whole program doesn't fail. So you can get most of them. And the original files are still there. So you can just go and check out, if it's a valid file, if you need to keep it. So we'll check that out. Trimmed and named. So here's a 3 that failed.
Almost as good as mine. All right.
All right.
This here's the stuff.
So, yeah, that actually seemed like a valid reason to fail. It wasn't really a line. So, let's check out the rest of these. See how well it transcribed.
That's a hard 10. -2.
That's an interesting interpretation.
This ain't my first rodeo.
That's a good one.
Close enough for horseshoes. Mighty close.
It's not close at all.
That's a good turkey leg, partner. That's a hard 10, -2. This here's amazing. You figured an almost perfect recipe. You fixing to beat me? This your first rodeo? Almost perfect. Almost, partner.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Holy cow.
What? How'd that turn into play?
Gee Willis, I've never tasted better. That's got barbecue turkey leg written all over it. Finger licking good.
So this one was interesting. No matter how many times I ran this and adjusted the silence threshold, it always interpreted this as a single line. Like, even though it's over a second, this space here. So not quite sure why, but yeah, every time just thought this was a single file. So that's kind of interesting.
Smoked turkey leg. That's good. That there works. Out of this world.
Yeah, so there you have it. This could be a real time saver. And, it has little errors here and there, but overall, I think it's pretty cool. Look forward to kind of expanding on this. So yeah, let me know what you think.